Okay, so now we're going to talk about functions and what exactly a function is. So let me just give you a very basic definition, okay? So a very basic definition of function would say that it's a relation, okay? So a connection between values. And it's a connection or a relation in values in which for each distinct value of the first component, you have exactly only one value in the second component. What that says is that if you have, in our case, typically x's, so if you have an x, then it can only correspond to exactly one y value. Okay, so for every one x, it only has one y value. It can't be in two places at once, in other words. Okay, the y's can repeat, but the x's cannot. X cannot be in more than two places at once. So let's take a look at this. Here, all we're going to do is pay attention to the x values, -3, 3, 4, 7, and 10. Notice that the x's do not repeat. The y repeats here and here, but that's not a problem. So in this case, x does not repeat. So they're asking us, is this relation a function? And for number 1, our answer is yes. Okay? Now let's take a look at this mapping on number 2. So here 4 maps to 5, 7 maps to 13, but then 7 also maps to 8. There's the problem. Okay, we don't even need to look at the next one. Just look at the next one though. 12 maps to 8, that's okay. But the problem here is 7. 7 is at 13 and 8 at the same time. While yes, this is a relation, no, this is not a function. So this one right here is not a function. Now let's take a look at the next one. We're looking at student test scores. So we've got some students, Bob, Susan, Jim, and Bruce. 4 distinct students. We'll call this our X column. And these are their test scores. Bob got a 91, Susan 83, Jim 91, and Bruce a 96. Now notice that these 2 students got the same grade. However, the items over here are distinct students. Okay? So in other words, one student did not take the test twice. Okay? So this relation here is a function. Again, x does not repeat. All right. In our last version of determining whether something is a function, we actually have a graph. So we've got some quadratic, and I don't know what the equation of this might be, but it's a quadratic. It's a parabola, right? Well, does x repeat? No, because if we were to draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, and let me just randomly draw a vertical line, okay? How many times did my vertical line touch the parabola? Only once, okay? So you can draw vertical lines along the graph, and provided that it only touches it one time, it is a function. So this passes the vertical line test. So if we were supposed, let's say we had some function that looked like this sideways, well, if I draw a vertical line, how many times does it touch that function? Well, it would touch it twice. Do you see that? So this is not a function, but this is a function. So the answer here for this is that yes, it is a function. And this right here is an example of not a function. Okay? So this one would not be a function. All right?